So let's visit that about how Femprov sort of had its early beginnings. There was an opening in one of the improv groups that existed. Oh, is that? Yeah.
I'm sorry, can't help it. Yeah.
But the one woman that was working with the group was called the Paya Juice, and they
Right.
worked out of the Holy City Zoo.
Right. Only one woman allowed. Thank you very much.
That was sort of the deal at the time, or that was
And not to be funny either.
no.
So why? Which also you sort of go, why am I here? Because I am funny. Thank you very much. So
Right.
whatever.
But it was she was sort of a utility player or a straight man
Token woman
Yeah.
to play the
okay.
women in any skit.
All right. Well, we'll
So-
get it down to that. Right. Exactly. I mean, because
Yeah.
but kind of a straight person, not necessarily meant to
Oh
be.
no, never. No, I don't think any of the women they ever had were funny. Not that I remember.
Yeah.
So-
Maybe they weren't so much funny as, but they just knew how to work in that situation at the time, which wasn't giving them the opportunity to be funny. Right.
Well, and maybe that's the part they would have played in any group too, right?
Sure.
That they, straight woman.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. I'll be
it's-
the wife. I'll be the nurse. I'll
Yeah,
be the teacher. I'll be the
exactly.
secretary. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
So and those were because the groups were pretty male dominated. Those were the type of
Totally.
skits that they were coming up with.
Oh,
Because that's the way the world was. Yeah. We forget now, but at the time,
Yeah. Oh, at the
that
time.
was sort of the role for women in general in nature.
Yeah. Well, their rule was don't ever have two women on stage alone because they won't be funny. Yeah. Thank you.
Ah, that's hard to hear now.
I know. And yet we went to disprove that. So we said, how could we do that? Well, let's see. Let's start a group.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was a discussion that was had during that the audition where all these women showed up. Do you remember were there 10 women, 15 women that showed up? I mean, I think they had an actual. Susan Healy has told me that they had an actual ad in the paper as a casting call ultimately.
Uh-huh.
And she showed up, and all she had ever done was the only comedy that she had was listening to Nichols and May records. That's what she told me.
Wow.
So I know, not
I
bad
must have
training.
taken a class. It's funny that, unless we just, I don't know, felt a kinship or something,
I think
right?
she may have been going to workshops.
I think so.
And-
because, you got to have some kind of background, I'm thinking.
Right,
So,
exactly. You had to
that
train.
we all go, oh yeah, you'd be fun to play with. So, yeah.
Right, and you've been playing with these other women in improv classes anyhow, where there
Right.
wasn't that sort of overarching, it's got to
At
be
all.
all men, right?
Right, exactly. And especially with Crana, you never felt that
Right.
in any workshop. Cantu, well, sure, because
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Jose.
And Elk the same way,
Yeah.
John Elk, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So
They're guys.
you lived with Susan Healy,
I
right?
did,
And did
yeah.
that come before or after Femprov started? Do you remember?
Gosh, that's a really good question. How did that happen?
You must have met each other, maybe at workshops.
Well, we absolutely knew each other. It's so weird gosh.
So it was Susan Healy,
Yeah,
you,
yeah. Will Durst.
okay.
And I think Fran and Jan were after Will moved out. That's what I
That
want to
sounds
say.
right, yeah.
Because I know we didn't. Oh, and my friend Ed, who lived in the low back room.
Ed in the back room.
Ed in the back
I
room.
think
yeah.
I'm hearing about Ed
He's
in
a
the back
guitar
room.
player.
Uh-huh.
So yeah,
Nice,
he was
nice.
great. Yeah.
So that was sort of a comedy household. That was like one of the first, comedy co-ops or whatever you want to
Yeah,
call it.
absolutely. We had a great big flat, obviously, because everybody had their own room. Although Fran and Jan, I guess, didn't.
Over on Fell Street.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Yep. And
Did everybody have cars, or I guess in those days we all did, didn't we?
I didn't. I don't think Susan did. Will's always had a car because he's always loved driving.
Okay, yeah, San
Yeah.
Francisco's easy to get around with.
Yeah,